What's up, cool people? Welcome to today's live stream. My name is Matt, aka That Random Christian Gamer. So, the agenda, so to speak, for today is kicking things off with a couple of chapters of Bible study. Last week we started 2nd Chronicles. We'll be continuing through that with chapters 3 and 4 today, which mostly seem to revolve around Solomon building the temple, as told by Ezra to the Israelite exiles. This is not the first time the Bible has mentioned Solomon building the temple, but it might give a little bit of a different take on some aspects of it. And then, after that's done, we'll hop into some gaming. Specifically, I will be playing Slay the Spire as the Watcher, which is the only character I have left to do a standard run with. After that, I don't know how I'll be handling Slay the Spire exactly. I mean, I would like to at least show one full, one win, one successful run with each character. But I also don't want to just, keep revisiting the same characters over and over if things complicate that. But anyway, we'll see how it goes. Today's focused on the Watcher, though. So, those of you who have not yet seen, I am in my new apartment up here in Pennsylvania. Starting to get things set up a little bit behind me with my nerd display kind of behind me, and eventually I gotta double check with the landlord to see if he's okay with me either using some sticky tack or poking a couple of small holes in the wall to put up posters. But it's getting there. The apartment move-in adjustments are in progress. So anyway, all right. With all that out of the way, I think that's all I have in terms of updates and letting you know what's coming up today. So, I suppose we'll get the early Twitch ads rolling and hop into some Bible study after that. Twitch folks, I'll see you in a bit. No, I don't know, maybe it's just the placement of my webcam or the angle of the screen that I have it on that's making it so you see part of the table here. I don't know. Anyway, okay. No big deal. It's just me thinking out loud. Alrighty. So, yeah. I'm starting a little bit late today, I realize, and that is in large part due to staying up late last night, playing some Magic the Gathering at a local card shop. The first game I played there didn't seem to take too terribly long, maybe an hour or so. But I was playing Commander, by the way, in a 4-player group. And the first round went an hour, but the second game we played, I think everybody was just using slower decks, and people kept wiping the board, getting rid of all the creatures and stuff. So, yeah, that one took probably closer to 3 hours, I think. Didn't feel like 3 hours. It only felt like maybe 2, but anyway. So that's why I'm starting a little late today. But, oh, yeah. I should, you know what? Maybe at some point here, I'll make the big schedule change announcement. Might even record that so I could turn it into a short video later. But, for now, we'll hop into some Bible study and not worry so much about other things going on. Okay, here we go. So, we are looking at 2nd Chronicles chapter 3, and 1st Chronicles was pretty much, alright, here's everything about the history of the Israelites very briefly summed up right up until you start getting to the kings. And then it's like, okay, because this is where things, really started obviously affecting our standing with God and our status as exiles. Here's a bunch of details on some things that went wrong, some things that went well, and their direct connection to God. Because ultimately, whether or not we've been following God is the main reason that these things went well or poorly. Makes it kind of makes a little more sense than when you see or read about people in the New Testament who seem to have a very works-based theology of their relationship with God. Like that they seem to think everything good or bad is based on what people do. But anyway, let me not digress too far on that tangent. So, first couple of chapters of 2nd Chronicles were about Solomon starting his reign as king, asking God for wisdom, and then making preparations to start building the temple. Which brings us to chapter 3 here. So, here we go. 2nd Chronicles chapter 3. So Solomon began to build the temple of the Lord in Jerusalem on Mount Moriah, where the Lord had appeared to David his father. The temple was built on the threshing floor of Araunah the Jebusite, the site that David had selected. The construction began in mid-spring, during the 4th year of Solomon's reign. These are the dimensions Solomon used for the foundation of the temple of God, using the old standard of measurement. It was 90 feet long and 30 feet wide. The entry room at the front of the temple was 30 feet wide, running across the entire width of the temple, and 30 feet high. He overlaid the inside with pure gold. He paneled the main room of the temple with cypress wood, overlaid it with fine gold, and decorated it with carvings of palm trees and chains. He decorated the walls of the temple with beautiful jewels and with gold from the land of Parvaim. He overlaid the beams, thresholds, walls, and doors throughout the temple with gold, and he carved figures of cherubim on the walls. Okay, I'll pause there for a bit. So, the first thing that stuck out to me was mentioning that the temple was built on the threshing floor of Araunah the Jebusite. First of all, Hebrew reads Ornan rather than Araunah, but it's considered a variant spelling. Compare that with 2 Samuel 24, which I guess that's the initial mention of the thing with David going to Araunah and buying that threshing floor, which he bought because David took a census, God didn't like it, and was then, bringing a punishment, a plague, I think, of sorts, upon Israel. And then when the angel that was sort of spreading that plague, death thing, whatever it was, got close to Jerusalem, David prayed to God to make it stop or even bring more of the punishment upon himself, since he was the guilty party. Then God basically tells him, okay, go out to this threshing floor and build an altar. And it turns out to be the threshing floor of Araunah. So, even in the midst of something bad, even kind of as a result of something that God didn't want, it still turns into something that becomes important later. In this case, that's the reason why David goes to this threshing floor, purchases it from Arana the Jebusite, and then it becomes the site where the temple is built. So, yeah, anyway. Just wanted to point out that connection. Note there where it says the construction began in mid-spring. Hebrew says on the second day of the second month. This day of the ancient Hebrew lunar calendar occurred in April or May, which is why they say mid-spring. During the 4th year of Solomon's reign. That might be mentioned again later if it describes how long the building of the temple took. Note there, the old standard of measurement was a cubit equal to 18 inches. The new standard was a cubit of approximately 21 inches. Interesting. So, the agreed upon length of a cubit apparently changed at some point. It doesn't say when in particular. But in this case, it's using the old cubit standard with each cubit equaling 18 inches. So that, I'm sure, then is related to this. So the Hebrew says 60 cubits long and 20 cubits wide, which, based on 18 inches, which is a foot and a half per cubit, yeah, that's just math then. Multiply the cubits mentioned here by 1.5, and you get 90 and 30. And I'm sure these other two notes here are going to relate to the measurements. Yeah. So the entry room spans the whole width of the temple. And it mentions it being 30 feet high. It doesn't say how long or deep or whatever that it was. Also 30 feet high. As in Greek and Syriac, Hebrew reads 120 cubits. Which, I suppose it hasn't mentioned a height of the temple overall just yet. So either one is technically possible. But if I'm remembering previous things correctly, previous tellings of the temple building, it seemed more like 30 feet would have been better, because it wasn't like 4 times as tall as it was wide. In those cases, I don't think. But I don't know, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong on that. It's a fairly large building either way. I mean, you've essentially got at least 3 stories high and the same width and double that length. And like all this stuff is getting overlaid with gold and getting these, I don't know if decorations is quite the right word, but getting all these details added to it, such as carved figures of cherubim on the walls. So it's a very intricate and rather, because of the gold, luxurious design. Okay, on to verse 8. He made the most holy place 30 feet wide, corresponding to the width of the temple, and 30 feet deep. He overlaid its interior with 23 tons of fine gold. The gold nails that were used weighed 20 ounces each. He also overlaid the walls of the upper rooms. Also overlaid the walls of the upper rooms with gold. But you know what? I'll keep reading a little bit more. He made 2 figures shaped like cherubim, overlaid them with gold, and placed them in the most holy place. The total wingspan of the two cherubim standing side by side was 30 feet. One wing of the first figure was 7.5 feet long, and it touched the temple wall. The other wing, also 7.5 feet long, touched one of the wings of the second figure. In the same way, the second figure had one wing 7.5 feet long that touched the opposite wall. The other wing, also 7.5 feet long, touched the wing of the first figure. So the wingspan of the two cherubim side by side was 30 feet. They stood on their feet and faced out toward the main room of the temple. Okay, so we've got an entry room, a main room. I don't mean to air quote it, I'm just doing that to say that's how it's worded in here. We've got an entry room, a main room, and the most holy place. The most holy place alone apparently takes up half the size of the temple, which, considering how much is needed for that, shouldn't be too surprising. I think because that's where you've got the Ark of the Covenant, eventually, and at least the altar of incense, if not another altar as well. So, yeah, that's really the main thrust of what happens in the temple in the first place. So it would make sense for that to take up the most space overall. Also, 23 tons listed in Hebrew as 600 talents of fine gold were used to overlay the interior, which overlaying tells me that it's like, all right, we've got the frame, or like basically we've got it put together, but now over top of all this we're gonna put gold. It's just gold everywhere. Also, gold nails were used, and those weighed in the Hebrew 50 shekels each, which is believed to be about 570 grams or 20 ounces. So then it describes these cherubim, or these basically cherubim-shaped statues that span the entire width of the temple. You've got one wing touching one wall, extending to the middle of the room on one figure, and then the other one, it's got that wing touching the inner wing of the first one, and then outer wing is touching the opposite wall of the first one. Now, it doesn't mention their height in here, I don't think. But, anyway. Okay, that's all the detail we've got on that for the moment. We will continue then in verse 14. Across the entrance of the most holy place, he hung a curtain made of fine linen, decorated with blue, purple, and scarlet thread, and embroidered with figures of cherubim. By the way, cherubim, for those who don't know, are like a type of angel, essentially. I don't know all the details of the different classifications of angels, but, like, there are different kinds. Cherubim is one. There's another type called seraphim, and then there might be a third designation, which, again, I'm not sure of, like, the different ranks of them, so to speak. Usually, any other angel, I guess they also have archangels, which I think are kind of a different category as well. Those tend to be the ones that, like, actually get named, like Gabriel or Michael or any of those. Anyway, the point is, I just wanted those who aren't familiar with the term cherubim to have an idea that, okay, yeah, these figures that are littered throughout the temple are basically angels, or at least what look like angels of a certain depiction. Angels are kind of described in a few different ways in the Bible as well, but I assume this would be a bit closer to your stereotypical idea of what an angel looks like. Okay, anyway, tangent done. On to verse 15. For the front of the temple, he made 2 pillars that were 37 feet tall, each topped by a capital extending upward another 7.5 feet. He made a network of interwoven chains and used them to decorate the tops of the pillars. He also made 100 decorative pomegranates and attached them to the chains. Then he set up the 2 pillars at the entrance of the temple, one to the south of the entrance and the other to the north. He named the one on the south Jachin and the one on the north Boaz. Okay, for the front of... Okay, it's calling it the front, but it mentions one of these pillars being at the north and one at the south. So that tells me, so the entrance of it was... If I'm remembering correctly, the entrance to the temple was facing east? It was either facing east or west. I'm pretty sure it was east, which in a way makes sense for a couple of reasons. One, that's where the sun rises, and I think there's some other kind of significance to it. I can't remember exactly. But, again, as usual, correct me if I'm wrong on that. So, these pillars at the entrance were, I mean, including the capitals on top of them, looks like they totaled, what, 34.5 feet high. Maybe add a little extra to it at some point that'll make it 35 feet overall. Just for, like, thickness of certain materials. So, yeah, that was the front of the temple. Meaning the entrance, I guess you'd say. And then he's got these chains hanging from them with these pomegranate-looking things. Whether they were actually, like, dried pomegranates that were preserved a certain way, or just things made to look like pomegranates. Those were hung down from the chains then. Okay. Now we'll look at the notes. 27 feet, as in the Syriac version. See also 1 Kings 7:15, 2 Kings 25:17, and Jeremiah 52:21, which reads 18 cubits. Hebrew reads 35 cubits. Okay. But I guess due to other measurements mentioned, they probably figured it was more likely that the translators probably figured it was more likely that it was overall close to 30 feet. Since 30 feet was mentioned elsewhere. To note there at the interwoven chains, he made chains in the inner sanctuary but the meaning of the Hebrew is uncertain. So that almost gives more the impression that, like, going from these entrance pillars, perhaps inside the temple, then were chains that were hung. Which, I mean, either way, it's... I think it still serves a similar decorative purpose to have the chains and the pomegranates there. It's just it might have been a little more spread out horizontally if the network of chains went inside rather than it just being like between the two pillars. If it was just between the entry pillars, then maybe it all hung vertically a bit more. But anyway, last note here. Jachin probably means he establishes, and Boaz means in him is strength. So, that was why Solomon named these pillars that way, to kind of serve as ways of describing God's relationship with them, what God does for the people. And I mean, I was also thinking for a sec, wait, Boaz was the guy that married Ruth, and wasn't David descended from them? But not saying that necessarily was part of thinking in naming the one pillar like that. But that would also leave me wondering about the name Jachin, if that had any connection to that same possibility. So, let's just stick with what we know, is that those names meant something like these particular things. Alright, so there's at least a bunch of the general outline, the general gist of the temple and its layout, its construction. We might get more details later, but that's all for 2 Chronicles chapter 3. Okay. And then we will promptly move on to chapter 4. Surprise, surprise, more stuff about the temple. But this is the furnishings for it, at least at the start. Which means we're going to get more into the details of what is in the temple now. But let me go ahead and start recording this before I get too much into that. Okay. So we're looking at 2 Chronicles chapter 4 now. Last chapter was the start of Solomon building the temple. Per Ezra's description, reminder, this is meant to be originally for the Israelite exiles as a way of kind of recapping things and saying, all right, here's how we got here. Probably with a bit of emphasis on, like, all right, here's something bad that happened, and here's how it connected with disobeying God. And then, like, okay, here's something good that happened, and, you know, how we followed God in that instance. And I guess there's some emphasis on the temple as well, because I think part of what Ezra had in mind, at least, was wanting to rebuild the temple. It had been destroyed by other kingdoms because of them getting taken over and all sorts of things like that. But, yeah. So we had kind of the general idea of the structure of the temple, about how large it was, the size of each room within it, and maybe a couple of things about decorations for it, but still, we've mostly covered just the framework of it. Now we're going to continue with more details on what is inside the temple, but not necessarily part of the main structure of it. So here we go. 2 Chronicles, chapter 4. Solomon also made a bronze altar 30 feet long, 30 feet wide, and 15 feet high. Then he cast a great round basin, 15 feet across from rim to rim, called the Sea. It was 7.5 feet deep and about 45 feet in circumference. It was encircled just below its rim by 2 rows of figures that resembled oxen. There were about 6 oxen per foot, all the way around, and they were cast as part of the basin. The sea was placed on a base of 12 bronze oxen, all facing outward. 3 faced north, 3 faced west, 3 faced south, and 3 faced east, and the sea rested on them. The walls of the sea were about 3 inches thick, and its rim flared out like a cup and resembled a water lily blossom. It could hold about 16,500 gallons of water. That's pretty big. Also, okay, so bronze altar, 30 feet long, 30 feet wide, and 15 feet high. That's like half the size of what we've read about so far, pretty much. Because it said the width of the temple was 30 feet and the depth was 60. So, yeah, we've got, or width and length, I guess is what it said, but still. And then there's reason to believe that it was about 30 feet tall as well. So this altar is taking up like half of the space of the entire temple. I'm not entirely sure how that's possible given what was described in the previous chapter, unless, well, I mean, I guess this altar could have been in the most holy place, because that was 30 feet long and 30 feet. No, because that. So this is basically the same size as the most holy place, just maybe not as tall. Although it doesn't, I don't think it says that this was inside the temple exactly. It might have been just next to it. Or maybe this was in the main room. Doing that because that's the phrasing that was used in the previous chapter. Yeah, I'll be honest, I'm a little confused by that. If that's supposed to sit inside the temple. But I'm not going to dwell too long on that. Also. So rather than Solomon, it might be read as Huram-Abi. Hebrew reads he, which, what he would it have been except Solomon? Solomon was the only he mentioned in the previous chapter. Huram-Abi, though, might have actually been, let me go back and look, might have actually been the one guy that, yeah, that was the one guy Hiram sent to help with, like, crafting all this stuff and doing all the details and whatnot. So, realistically, it might have actually been Huram-Abi doing it with some general guidance from Solomon. In any case, okay, so bronze altar. So the Hebrew says it was 20 cubits long, 20 wide, and 10 high, which roughly equals the measurements we saw here. You can also see the rough meter equivalents in this note. But then we get to this thing called the sea. Great round basin, so like a very large pool, I guess you'd say. 7.5 feet deep, so pretty much deeper than just about anybody is tall. 45 feet in circumference. Circumference is like the whole circle around. Hebrew says 10 cubits across, 5 cubits deep, and 30 cubits in circumference. Now, 10 cubits across would be more like the diameter. So, 30 cubits in circumference might be sort of a rough estimate there. Really should be maybe closer to 31.4. Anybody who knows the mathematical term pi, it should be about that much. The circumference should be about that much more than the diameter, but we're not here for math right now. Okay. So then there's these oxen. There are about 6 oxen per foot all the way around. They were cast as part of the basin. And then for the base on which the sea sat, there were 12 bronze oxen, all facing away from the center, 3 each side. The walls of the sea were about 3 inches thick. Hebrew says a hand breadth, which is believed to be about 8 centimeters or 3 inches. It could hold about 16,500 gallons of water. Hebrew says 3,000 baths. So that's what they're basing their measurement on here, assuming certain, conversions. Anyway. Also mentions it flared out, so there was like sort of a lip at the top of this basin called the sea. Resembled a water lily blossom. That maybe there were some details like inside it that gave it that look, or I guess potentially on the outside as well. Anyway, okay, so talked about this altar and this basin called the sea. Then we move on to verse 6. He also made 10 smaller basins for washing the utensils for the burnt offerings. He set 5 on the south side and 5 on the north, but the priests washed themselves in the sea. He then cast 10 gold lampstands according to the specifications that had been given, and he put them in the temple. 5 were placed against the south wall, and 5 were placed against the north wall. He also built 10 tables and placed them in the temple, 5 along the south wall and 5 along the north wall. Then he molded 100 gold basins. More basins? Jeez. Maybe these were even smaller basins. Okay. So, you've got places for washing the utensils. But it says the priests washed themselves in the sea. So that big basin that was just described as holding 16,500 gallons of water, that's where the priests would wash themselves to clean up before doing, like, the ceremonies and things. Or really performing any of the rituals, I'd imagine. Makes me wonder how often they changed out the water. So then there are 10 gold lampstands. Doesn't say what all each lampstand held, like whether it was just one candle each, or they might have been designed to hold a few candles. But either way, that was probably the main lighting in... Now, does it say it was in the most holy place? I'm trying to get context here for where it says it's somewhere within the temple. Okay, well, not a big deal. Also, it mentions a bunch of this stuff being placed along the south wall and the north wall, like, which means it would essentially be the side walls from the entrance. Because the entrance was either to the east or the west. I'm pretty sure it was the east. Okay. Not too much else I have to say on that. On to verse 9. He then built a courtyard for the priests, and also the large outer courtyard. He made doors for the courtyard entrances and overlaid them with bronze. A great bronze basin called the Sea was placed near the southeast corner of the temple. That explains where it was then. Huramabi also made the necessary wash basins, shovels, and bowls. So at last, Huramabi completed everything King Solomon had assigned him to make for the Temple of God. The 2 pillars, the bowl-shaped capitals on top of the pillars, the 2 networks of interwoven chains that decorated the capitals, the 400 pomegranates that hung from the chains on the capitals, 2 rows of pomegranates for each of the chain networks that decorated the capitals on top of the pillars, the water carts holding the basins, the sea and the 12 oxen under it, the ash buckets, the shovels, the meat hooks, and all the related articles. Huramabi made all these things of burnished bronze for the temple of the Lord, just as King Solomon had directed. The king had them cast in clay molds in the Jordan Valley between Succoth and Zarethan. Solomon used such great quantities of bronze that its weight could not be determined. The last chapter, it had mentioned how much gold was used in, like, overlaying the inside of the temple. This is like, there's so much bronze that was used, can't even weigh it. Too much. Not too much for what it was being used for, but too much to just even consider trying to weigh it all. So, pretty much everything that's been described in the temple construction so far, Huramabi had something to do with the design of it. So, so there's a courtyard for the priests and a large outer courtyard. So I guess this has me thinking it might be similar to how the tabernacle was. You had like a big tent for the main part of the tabernacle, but then also outside of that there were like a couple of courtyards beyond it for various purposes. Only certain people could really go into the tabernacle proper, I think. Definitely the most holy place in this case. Only the priests could go in there, period. And I imagine some of these courtyards could have been like, all right, well, if we're going to hold sort of a more general gathering, that'll be in like the outer courtyard. If we're making preparations for offerings and stuff, that might be in the inner courtyard. And anyway, but I'm kind of thinking out loud and somewhat, I don't know, making an educated guess, for lack of a better way to put it. Okay. So this thing called the Sea was placed near the southeast corner of the temple. So I'm guessing, since it mentions that with the courtyards, it was outside of the temple. Which, if something like that is being placed outside the temple, that also means it's plenty reasonable to believe that that altar that was like half the size of the most holy place was also outside the temple in one of the courtyard areas. So that might also make sense for some of the offerings, because I think, if I'm remembering instructions for the tabernacle and other things correctly, there was like one altar inside the most holy place, which was, or at least one place where they like burned incense and such. And there was probably an altar outside the main part of the tabernacle and or the temple that was for kind of the more regular offerings for the people. But again, me just trying to remember details and what makes sense with all this. Okay. So anyway, we've had all this stuff that's been made for the temple. And now I'll read the rest of the chapter, starting with verse 19. Solomon also made all the furnishings for the temple of God: the gold altar, the tables for the bread of the presence, the lampstands and their lamps of solid gold, to burn in front of the most holy place as prescribed, the flower decorations, lamps, and tongs, all of the purest gold, the lamp snuffers, bowls, ladles, and incense burners, all of solid gold, the doors for the entrances to the most holy place, and the main room of the temple, overlaid with gold. So, yeah, again, lots of gold involved, lots of little details, and then, of course, there are the instruments used for the various things that the priests needed to do. Lampstands for lighting, of course. A table to place the bread of the presence, because that was a pretty important part of the display. But yeah, so there's at least most of what went like inside or around the temple that wasn't part of the main temple structure itself, but definitely had to do with the things that would happen in and around it, kind of the regular priestly duties. So yeah, I don't really have any other thoughts on any of this, so I suppose that'll do it for 2 Chronicles chapter 4. Okay, real quick, I've heard my phone buzzing a couple of times. I just want to make sure there's no really important notifications on here. Nope. Okay. Alright. Well, that does it for the planned Bible study for today. I was just getting a quick look ahead at the next couple of chapters to see what's coming up. Yeah, seems like that's really all that we get about the details of the temple itself and its furnishings. So, I got some time before ads kick in. I'm actually also going to record this next bit that I'm about to say, because... Oh, hey. Caleb Taylor, good morning. I'd say it's going well. I've finished off the Bible study portion of the stream, so pretty soon I'll be getting into Slay the Spire. He actually caught me just as I was about to make a bit of an announcement regarding my live streams. So, I'll go ahead and do that right now, if that's alright. Okay, so, now that I've moved into my new place and I'm getting other schedule stuff figured out, it has come to my attention. There's some things coming up on some Saturdays, at least this month. It's also quite likely to happen in the future that there will be things on Saturdays that take up most of the day at least. So, in part because of that, I'm adjusting my stream schedule a bit. Long story short, the kind of more recording session slash, you might also say, let's play type stuff as far as the games are concerned, that's going to be moving to Friday afternoons. That seems like the most steady, most consistently available time that I'm going to have. So yeah, that's best to anchor to that spot in my schedule. And then I think because of things coming up on Saturdays, rather than having that as my main other stream time where we just kind of hang out and chill while I do some side questing type stuff, that's actually going to move to Thursday nights for the most part. There might be an exception to that here and there if I get asked to go into work on Friday, because that'll happen pretty early then, and I won't necessarily want to stay up real late on Thursday nights. Then I might kind of just make a little announcement note thing out to my social media about, for that week, moving the Hangout stream to Saturday. So, just wanted to give you all a bit of an update on that. Be on the lookout on the social media for stream announcements and any other updates. Because if I'm going to make any other changes to this, I'm going to mention it in those places. So anyway, that's it. That was my big announcement. Alrighty. So, I'm going to go ahead and run the Twitch ad break before hopping into Slay the Spire here while I kind of transition things over to that. Okay. But YouTube folks, y'all will get to watch that transition anyway. Okay. Yeah, so I think I figured out this is my preferred method of adjusting my microphone. Rather than trying to like move the whole thing around to the other side of me or do anything like that, I'm just gonna have it like this. Of course, this pop screen doesn't necessarily seem to like that a ton, but whatever. Alrighty. Opening up, Slay the Spire. Okay. And I suppose with the game and its own audio in the mix, I can get rid of my background music that I had going on. Okay. I kind of wish I could figure out a better answer to this whole webcam situation. It seems odd that you're practically getting just like almost my profile more than anything else. But I mean, I don't really have a... Given the setup of the room and where I had to set things up relative to that, I don't really have a better solution at the moment. Really about the only other thing I was thinking I could try to do would be if I could get another webcam / a Bluetooth one to set up somewhere else in the room. Honestly, there's a windowsill over there that wouldn't be too bad for that. I would just have to zoom it in a lot. But then there wouldn't be any of like this stuff. So I don't know. Something I'm still trying to figure out. But enough of that. Let's get to the game here, shall we? And I will start recording then as well. Because, you know, YouTube video edits. Not everybody on there is real keen on watching full-length live streams. That just doesn't really want to... Okay. Sorry. Says I use my phone as my second camera when I'm streaming away from the computer. Tends to work pretty well. Yeah, now... Interesting idea. I'm not quite sure how to set that up, honestly. Especially because, like, my streams are very much through my computer. And I'm not sure how to get the phone connected with the computer in such a way that it would pick that up as another camera option like that. But I appreciate the idea and might be something to look into. Okay. My only other thought is maybe if I sit myself a little bit more like this, and then that way I'm at least partially facing the camera. It was a few steps to set it up that you opened Discord about. Sure. I'd appreciate some info on that. Okay. This might be a little bit better, so that way I'm, like, not totally facing that way, but also not, like... Because I can't... My main screen for the game is over here, for me. So, like, I gotta look this way to play the game, but I also don't want to completely ignore this direction where there's webcam and chat stuff. And that's the thing, too. My chat stuff is all over here. So if I want to be able to keep up with that at all, I need to be looking over this way anyway. Okay, anywho. Let's get rolling here. Okay, so. It is time. One last character to do a standard run with. And that... I'll probably go back eventually and play standard again as the Ironclad and the Defect. because I didn't actually complete those standard runs with them. But for now, I will play as the Watcher, because I have not done that yet. So the Watcher starts off with 72 HP, 99 gold. Described as a blind ascetic who has come to evaluate the Spire. Master of the divine stances. So, a bit ironic calling it the Watcher when the character's blind. I will also mention, I did happen upon a daily climb involving the Watcher, so that's why I'm not necessarily starting from square one with unlocks for it. So, anyway, also has at the start of each combat, add a miracle into your hand, which we'll see what that's all about here in a bit. Another try. At least confront the first boss. Enemies in your next... I'd rather have more max HP, because the first 3 combats really aren't that bad, generally speaking. Okay. Which path do I want to go along here? Early merchant isn't necessarily a big deal. Now, if I want to hit some elites, though, either I'm going far left. Actually, really, any path could get me to an elite. I would just need to stay away from the far right after, like, the first branch off. Okay, whatever. Something about... You know what? I'm going to take the far left path. I don't really need the early merchant visit, but because there will be a rest after the elite... Actually, you know what? I might choose this one, do the event that... Sure. Okay. Enough figuring that out. So, the Watcher is an interesting character to play as, because it has, like, different stances that do particular things. Also, real quick, hello, TV Antenna. Appreciate the hydrate redemption. Okay. So this miracle, you start off with it in your hand because of this pure water relic. It stays in your hand each turn until you use it, essentially. That's what retain means. And it gives you 1 energy. But when you play it, it's exhausted. So, right now I want to deal some damage, since the cultist is not going to attack. I think I will use my other 2 energy to gain 8 block and enter calm stance, since that has a special effect with it. Not so much when you enter as when you leave calm stance. In fact, you can look at your own character and get the description of the current stance. So, basically it says, upon exiting this stance, gain 2 energy. Alright. Enemy wants to attack now. Interesting. I could play this and enter Wrath stance. But the question is, would I have enough? So what Wrath stance does is... Well, actually, you can read the description there. In this stance, you deal and receive double attack damage. So, instead of each of these dealing 6 damage, they would deal 12. So that's 36 there. Plus 9 is 45. Yeah, I should be able to deal enough damage. Even though Eruption uses 2 energy, I'd be leaving Calm Stance, which gives me 2 more energy. So, hiya. Yep, there it is. Energy is back. So now these each deal 12 damage. And I win. 19 gold. Add a card to my deck. Okay. Zero cost, 0 energy cost cards. I like those. You know what? Sure. Let's go with that. Alright, event time. Cleric. A strange blue humanoid with a golden helm, approaches you with a huge smile. Hello, friend. I am Cleric. Are you interested in my services? Creature shouts loudly. So, I could basically pay gold to either heal, which I don't need to do, or remove a card from my deck, which I'm not real keen on doing right now either. So, I'll just leave. You don't trust this cleric, so you leave. You know what I just realized? I could actually continue going to the right here. That would also get me an elite here in a couple of moves. With a rest site not long after. Okay. I think I'll do that rather than pigeonhole myself into the early merchant visit. Because I'm probably not going to get that much from it. Alright, we have 2 slimes here. Alright, I will play Prostrate first. Gain 2 Mantra and 4 block. Now, Mantra is something that builds up. When you get to 10 Mantra, you enter Divinity Stance, which does a bunch of stuff. Caleb Space on Twitch, thank you for the sub. I appreciate it. Alright. So what do I want to do here? I could just outright get rid of the slime that's going to deal 3 damage. And then if I use defend, I would have enough block to not take any damage to my health. Gotcha, okay. I had a feeling that you had hopped from YouTube to Twitch to do that. Again, greatly appreciate it, especially since I'm not yet at the point on YouTube where I can have that kind of support yet. Okay, so Acid Slime is gone. And then, yeah, I guess I'll gain 5 block. Or I could use my Miracle and then use Vigilance to enter Calm Stance. Could possibly set me up better on a later turn, so you know what, I'll do that. I know, we've been slimed. Okay. The slime does not intend to attack this turn, so I will. Okay. And that's that. Also, by the way, Caleb, if you need contact info for Discord, let me know. Let's see here. 9 damage would put it at 8 health left. That should then... yeah. Then I'll use a strike, and I win. 20 gold. Adding a card to my deck. Okay. Flurry of Blows deals 4 damage. Costs 0. Whenever you change stances, return this card from the discard pile to your hand. That's handy because it's repeatable. Halt costs 0, gain 3 block. If you're in Wrath, gain 9 additional block. I guess, you know, it's helpful to balance that out with Wrath stance, because Wrath stance also makes you more vulnerable. But we got this Inner Peace skill that says, if you're in Calm, draw 3 cards, otherwise enter Calm. I haven't necessarily been lacking enough cards to use all of my energy so far. I have been changing stances a fair bit. So I think for that reason I might take Flurry of Blows. Alright, another event. The Scrap Ooze. As you walk into the room, you hear a gurgling and the grinding of metals. Before you is a slime-like creature that ate too much scrap for its own good. From the center of the creature, you see glints of strange light. Perhaps something magical? It looks like you can get some treasure if you just reach inside its opening. However, the acid and sharp objects may hurt. So, you reach inside this thing, which makes you lose 3 HP, but you have a 25% chance of finding a relic. Relics are very helpful. I mean, some a little more so than others, but they're like, you know, the passive additional effects can be quite handy sometimes. So far, I've been doing just fine, health-wise. So I kind of want to risk it a little bit. Aha! Got the relic. Success! After rummaging through the metal and burning acid, you finally grab a hold of a relic and yank it out. You pull your way out of the ooze, damaged but rewarded. So I think if it's unsuccessful, if I remember right, it essentially just keeps giving you more chances to get the relic that's in there. And the relic we got was, whenever you would deal 4 or less unblocked attack damage, increase it to 5. Handy for, you know, times when you gotta chip through an enemy's defenses. Well, speaking of defenses, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do too much more than defend myself here. I could do a little bit of damage. I guess we'll do 6 to this one. Defend, defend. Yeah, I'm okay with taking 1 damage this turn. Okay. Prostrate. Costs 0, so I'll do that. Flurry of Blows. So, this is 4 or well, yeah. 4 counts as 4 or less. So it should be increased to 5, which will get rid of this enemy. Yay. But now I can also use Eruption. Now I'm in Wrath stance. Flurry of Blows returns to my hand. And even if that wouldn't have gotten me the win, I had another
attack card. Ooh, hello, Brilliance. Deal 12 damage, deals additional damage equal to mantra gained this combat. Sands of Time, retain, deal 20 damage. When retained, lower its cost by 1 this combat. Or Carve Reality, deal 6 damage, add a Smite into your hand. Which Smite has retain and deals 12 damage and then is exhausted. I am leaning towards Brilliance, A, because of the rarity, and B, it's 1 cost for 12 damage. That's really not bad. And it deals additional if you've gained any mantra, which you kind of want to go for anyway. Alright. I'm still doing pretty good health-wise. Elite time. Oh, this one. Okay, so this is one where, like, it starts doing things if I get through its guard. Okay, Flurry of Blows. Hey, you know what? What the hey? But it does still take an additional turn to decide to do something else, essentially. Meanwhile, I've chipped away 35 of its health in 1 turn. But then there's that. That's going to deal 36 damage, which is not good for me. And that would actually be even more damage. Although I think the damage part, it actually only counts like direct damage to my life for what gets doubled to me. Again, that's if I remember correctly, which I'm not entirely sure that I do. So right now, my thought is I will use my miracle, strike. 36 is a lot of damage, though. Although, is that... Yeah, okay. I guess I'll use Vigilance now. I was debating on... I'm like, okay, do I want to take 5 less damage or deal 12 more? Which, you know what? I've decided I'm going to deal 12 more. So then I'll use Vigilance, which puts me in calm stance. Flurry of Blows. Okay, so that actually brings it down to 18. So I guess maybe that's just showing how much it would have been in Wrath mode, but now that I'm in Calm, I'm going to take less damage. Okay, so it's only 10 instead of the way more that it would have been. That's better for me. Okay, gain 2 mantra and 4 block. I'm already in calm stance. So I think I will just strike once and then defend twice. And then I'll take 4 more damage. Aha, Brilliance. So now instead of 12 damage, it reads 14 because, you know, got 2 mantra. Or Eruption, since it's not going to attack anyway. Oh, yeah. And then Brilliance alone would end it. Because being in Wrath stance means I deal extra damage. Okay. 34 gold. Anchor. Start each combat with 10 block. Ooh. Okay. Not bad. Card options here. Signature move can only be played if this is the only attack card in your hand. Deal 30 damage. Oh man, and that would be bumped up to 60 if I was in Wrath stance. Just Lucky is nice because it only costs 0. Flying Sleeves is really only nice because it's 8 damage that you can retain in your hand. But yeah, Just Lucky costs 0. You scry 1, which means you look at the top card and discard it if you want, or keep it there. You gain 2 block and deal 3 damage. It's very, like, multi-purpose. But signature move could be big. I like the events. Let's see what this event is. The Ominous Forge. You duck into a small hut. Inside you find what appears to be a forge. The smithing tools are covered with dust, yet a fire roars inside the furnace. You feel on edge. So you can... So you can upgrade a card in your deck, like you would normally from smithing. Rummage. Obtain a special relic, but become cursed with pain. Unplayable. While in hand, lose 1 HP whenever you play another card. Oof. That's annoying. But what's the special relic? Especially when it says special relic. I'm just like, but I want to know. But at the same time, I kind of feel like upgrading a card would also be quite handy. So I think I'm going to go with that. I don't like you want to be able to play things, and this just punishes that. Granted, at least it only, comes around once per deck cycle, so to speak. If I knew what the special relic was, I might consider that to be worth it. But, tell you what, let me see what the upgrades would do to the cards in my deck. So obviously all the strikes are just going to deal some extra damage. Defends are going to gain extra block. Eruption costs 1 less. Vigilance gains more block. Prostrate gains 1 extra mantra. Flurry of Blows deals 2 more damage. Brilliance deals more damage. Signature move deals 10 more damage. But none of those are really, like, game-breaking. Caleb, I appreciate you asking. I'd rather make the decision not knowing because I don't know. I guess when I'm playing stuff like this for the first time or encountering things like this for the first time, I kind of prefer just, doing what comes naturally. You know what? I think I'm going to do it anyway, obtaining the special relic. Because none of those upgrades seem great. I mean, they're fine, just not great. Okay, there we go. You decided to see if you could find anything of use. After uncovering tarps, looking through boxes, and checking nooks and crannies, you find a dust-covered relic. Taking the relic, you can't shake a sudden feeling of sharp pain as you exit the hut. Maybe you disturbed some sort of spirit? Alright, what's the relic? Warped Tongs. At the start of your turn, upgrade a random card in your hand for the rest of combat. Okay. Whoa, hello. So, you know what? And yes, agreed on being part of the fun. that actually might be more helpful overall than just getting the singular upgrade. Because it's like you get different possibilities each time. Okay, I'm gonna go to the rest site here. I don't need the full rest, so I think I might smith anyway. I'll get that permanent upgrade that I didn't get before. And overall, I think my preferred upgrade out of these is Eruption costing 1 less. So I'll go for that. I'm gonna go for this treasure. 24 gold. Start each combat with 1 strength. Nice. I'll go for the elite because then there's a merchant and a possible rest site right after that. And I think I can handle another elite right now. These guys. Okay. Oh, so it just randomly upgrades a card. Okay. For some reason I was thinking I had a choice in that. It doesn't say of your choice, so yeah, I guess not. Alright. 2 mantra and some block. Deal 5 damage to... Well, I'm not going to take any damage this turn. And yet... Just... So I use all the energy. I'll, gain some more block anyway. Alright. Now I've had a couple of dazed cards shuffled in. Oh, fun. Okay, well. There's the Pain Curse. So I will play Vigilance. Take 1 damage, but I gained 8 block right there. Flurry of Blows. Defend. Also, yeah, it says lose 1 HP rather than take 1 damage. So that goes through any, like, any block that you have. Oh, hold up. Miracle Plus. Okay. I'm taking 3 more damage to keep myself from, well... Yeah, taking 3 more damage to keep myself from taking an extra 5. Because with this one... Because I would take 18 total damage from the block and the HP, given the attacks coming at me. But if I get rid of this guy by playing Miracle and then these 2 strikes, I don't, like, it all just goes to block. So, doing that, even though pain. Also, hello, Pirate Jason. Hope you're doing well. Okay. No more pain for now. But yeah, that's just... basically until it gets cycled back around in my deck. Ooh. So... I could play Eruption... Yeah. I am very much thinking I will do that. So I will play Eruption. Now, because of changing stances, I gained 2 energy from leaving Calm. That deals 10 damage. That deals 38. So Brilliance alone gets rid of this guy. Then Flurry of Blows. And then Signature Move deals 62 damage. Bye-bye. Okay, 25 gold. Pen Nib. Every 10th attack you play deals double damage. Like I needed more damage. Dexterity Potion. Improves block gained from cards. Right. Deceive Reality. Gain 4 block. Add a safety into your hand. Okay. Which the safety has retain and gain 12 block for 1 energy. Sure, why not? Okay. I'm thinking I want to visit a merchant now. Ah, dang. The relics are expensive this time. Ice Cream. Energy is now conserved between turns. Ginger, you can no longer become weakened. The only one I can afford is... Oh, Medical Kit. Unplayable status cards can now be played whenever you play a status card exhausted. Huh. So then... Although a curse is not the same thing as a status. Never mind. It doesn't do quite what I thought it would. I mean, there are definitely still some cases in which that could be helpful. However... So that costs 153. That would leave me with... it's 81. Start of each turn, add a smite into your hand. I feel like I'd almost rather go for some of these cards here. Chrysalis is a nice long-term play for any one particular battle, but... I also kind of like the idea of just being able to heal mid-combat at 0 energy cost. Oh yeah, the potions. What potions do we have? Apply 3 vulnerable. Fill all your empty potion slots with random potions. Interesting. So I think I'm actually going to buy one of those. Then I can buy Bandage Up. And... Sash Whip is kind of nice, but I'm also liking the discounted Battle Hymn. Sure. Okay. So the rest would heal me just shy of full. But then there's another rest before the boss anyway. You know what? I am not going to put too much thought into it right now. I'm going to go for the battle. Gives me slightly more options a bit later. Oh, yay. I have pain in my starting hand. Love that. Prostrate. because then Brilliance will deal more damage. Play Battle Hymn. And I already have enough block for this turn. Because of Pain being in my hand, I might just leave it at that for now. Alrighty, so 13. So I could deal up to 27 damage, it seems. Although, no. 13. 23. 30. Oh, but then one more energy would be enough. So yeah. I think I'll go ahead and do all that. Make sure I use this strike. That. Miracle. Strike. Win. Okay. That wasn't so bad. Be careful of adding too many cards to your deck. Yeah, I'll admit I have not been particularly careful with that in my runs. So far, I don't know if I'd say that in particular has caused me too many problems. Then again, I have not completed my first standard run on 2 of the characters, so maybe that contributes more than I realize. Cut through Fate, deal 7 damage, scry 2, draw a card. Start of your next turn, enter Wrath and draw 2 cards. Or another Flurry of Blows. See, now having multiple of those can combo off well with the whole stance changing thing. The only time that doesn't really combo off like that is if you have to put your discard pile back into your draw pile because you've played all the cards. Okay. I think I'll be able to handle... Well... Okay, so I could smith at this rest stop. And then do the event after it. Or I go event battle. I think I'm gonna smith, actually. And what does this look like when upgraded? Heals 6 HP, okay. Let's gain 7 block. Signature move deals 10 more damage. Battle Hymn becomes innate. So I just inherently get to use it right away. If I so choose. Since it's a thing that, you know, triggers every turn, that sounds kind of like a good idea to have right off the bat. I'm gonna upgrade that. See, overall, card upgrades really are a bit better than getting more cards. At least depending on which cards you might get. Because, like, as Jason here has sort of mentioned, if you add more cards to your deck, that means there's more possibilities of getting things that you don't necessarily want in that moment. But okay, Battle Hymn. Vigilance Plus. Gain 12 block and intercom. I have more than enough block for this turn. For now, I will save the miracle. And great, now I have pain in my hand. Okay, prostrate to gain block. Flurry of blows, because I'll probably be changing stances before long. That's just shy of enough to get rid of the slime, dang it. Okay, smite. Strike. Then I'll take the 1 damage to essentially take 3 less from their attacks. Or I could use the miracle and get rid of the slime. Which means... Okay, so I take 2 damage for that and then only take 1 from the attacks. Otherwise, I'm taking 8 damage. So, yeah. Or, wait, sorry. I thought of that wrong. I don't know why I thought that was an attack card of some sort, but you know what? That's okay. Now I'm taking no damage from the attacks. Alright, welcome someone else in the Twitch chats. I do not know that language, so I'm not quite sure who you are or what you're saying there, but hi. Okay, now... okay, Flurry of Blows will get rid of that acid slime. I will definitely use Bandage Up, because yay healing. Oh, and then... Oh, the pen nib. I'm like, why are these dealing so much damage? It's because of the pen nib. Every 10th attack you play deals double damage. So, smite, goodbye. Alright, 18 gold. Snecko oil. Draw 5 cards. Randomize the cost of cards in your hand. That's a very hit or miss kind of thing. I might actually leave that behind. Intentionally. Alright, Empty Mind, draw 2 cards, exit your stance. Consecrate, deal 5 damage to all enemies. Or Just Lucky. I kind of like the multi-functionality of Just Lucky. I haven't run into issues, I mean... Occasionally, having an option to exit a stance is helpful. Because, like, if I'm in Wrath and I don't want to take damage... Or don't want to take as much damage. Or, like, if I'm in Calm but want the extra energy for some reason. Still. I'm gonna skip the Snecko oil, actually. Okay. Actually going to rest at this rest area. Because now I'm only missing 7 HP. Japanese, I believe, for good luck. Oh. I'm glad you're in here and might have an idea of that. Thanks. Thanks to Caleb for the hopeful good translation. And if that's what's being said, then thanks to the person who said it. Oh, hello. This thing intends to block this turn. Mode shift. After receiving 30 damage, changes to a defensive mode. Okay, well, I'll play Battle Hymn. And then Brilliance and Strike. And that'll do for now. Oh, geez, 32 damage. And I don't even have that many block gaining cards in my hand. Although 1, 2, 3, it's not terrible. Alright, dexterity potion, drink. And let's see what this brew gives me here. Ooh, hello. Gain 3 thorns, swift potion, draw 3 cards, and it gave me 2 of those. Right now doesn't seem like the best time for that. Alrighty, I will bandage up. Play this to gain some block and deal a little damage. Flurry of blows. I guess I'll keep it there. Defend. Deceive reality. And then the safety here will give me enough block to not take any damage from the attack. Or, but what if I make it go to defensive mode, though? Should have thought a little more about that. But I mean, I guess I would have played most of those anyway. Let me use Smite here. Okay. Mode shift. And I will keep these other 2 cards in my hand. Sharp-Hide. Oh, right. Now it gains thorns. So, let me see here. It having thorns is a little bit inconvenient for me. Whenever you play an attack, take 3 damage. Okay, so... Oh, miracles. Was that a miracle plus the whole time? Not sure, but... Flurry of blows. Twice. So now my block is gone. 31. Also, that's every 10th attack, right? Yeah, duh. Kinda has to be. I'm thinking about using the miracle. Because, like, then I'll do that. I will gain 10 block here. Which means I can then replay my Flurry of Blows cards. Because I entered Calm. Dang. Just 1 energy shy of being able to play all of this. Smite. Whew. 62 damage is a lot. I think that's a little too hard to pass up. Oh, yeah, because of the pen nib. So, kaboom. Yes, I'm going to take a little damage myself, but I'll heal after this boss fight anyway. Let's see here. See, that's attack damage. I don't think thorns affect things in quite that way. Alright, so if I play Eruption, I essentially gain 1 energy because of the 2 from exiting Calm Stance. However, if I'm not getting rid of it this turn, I'm taking double the damage myself then. But, okay, so I do that, and then well, that becomes 26... Well, that's only 10, though, so 36. 56. So wait, I play that. And then I essentially will have 5 total energy to use this turn. So yeah, 10, 36, 56, 70. I would deal 84 total damage. But then also take 36? No, wait. Sorry, 32. Other option is I don't do that, focus on blocking. And then don't take near as much damage myself. Oh, but wait. Because I still have a flurry of blows in my hand. So those would each deal 10? That's... I still think that's not enough. And then I got the thorns hitting me all those times. I mean, it's still not a terrible play. I just don't know if it's the right one. Especially because of all the thorns I'd be taking damage from along the way. Because that actually then means instead of 32, I'm taking 35, 38, 40, 41, 44, 47, and then if I play the 2 others, that's like 53 damage I take. Yikes. So I'm gonna focus on blocking this turn and see what else might happen instead. Because because Smite has retain, I'm gonna do the Strike Plus instead. Okay. And I lose no health this turn. Oh. Okay. Now it's doing a different thing. Oh. Lovely time for pain to be in my hand. Okay. Gain 6 block there. I'm not going to be able to play signature move. So otherwise I'm just... Hold up. Oh, that's every turn. Why was I reading that before as if it was just at the start of combat? Okay. Although if I deal 40 damage to it, it'll go back to defensive mode and probably not attack this turn. Which... 17... 30... I wouldn't be able to deal enough for that, dang it. So I guess then I will block. Okay, I've got 13 block now. Of course, oh wait, no. Thorns are not there anymore. I've got 13 block, which means I'll only be taking 20 damage. No, sorry. It would be 20. Now I'm only taking 7 because of the block. Alright. I'll play that smite. I am taking 1 damage for each card I play, though. I'll play that smite there, too. Okay. Alright. See. Nah, but the cards that return to my hand from changing stances are not in the discard pile anymore, so they cannot return to my hand that way. Oh, it intends to block this turn. So, Eruption. And now it's already gained block and wants to apply a buff. Still. Smite. Strike. Another strike. I'll do that just to have the safety in my hand for later. And end my turn. Good time to change to Wrath stance. Especially because now I can pretty much just play something like this, and boom, I win. Hooray! Alright, 99 gold, and, ooh, Devotion. At the start of your turn, gain 2 mantra. Combos off of that 1 attack nicely. Judgment. If the enemy has 30 or less HP, set their HP to 0. So just insta-kill if they're low on health. Okay. Lesson learned. Deal 10 damage. If fatal, upgrade a random card in your deck. Upgrades are good too, though. But dang. These are all good options. So let me... Upon entering the stance, gain 3 energy. Attacks deal triple damage. Oh, man. I'm like, okay, so do I keep going more for the mantra stuff? See, I guess the thing is, the Judgment card is useless unless the enemy has 30 or less HP. But, I mean, there are a decent number of situations where it is useful. But then, card upgrades. I just don't know how many I'd end up actually being able to upgrade through that method. And it costs 2 energy. Just the idea of being able to upgrade cards that way. Because, like, it doesn't say that it's a temporary upgrade either. It just says upgrade. Not for the rest of combat. Just flat out upgrade. But only if fatal. So, Oh. Also doesn't work on minions. Helpful to know. Huh. Hope I don't regret this, but I'm going with lesson learned. And what do we get here? Sacred Bark, double the effectiveness of potions. Astrolabe, upon pickup, transform 3 cards, then upgrade them. Coffee Dripper, gain energy at the start of your turn. You can no longer rest at rest sites. Heck no. Sacred Bark could definitely be nice if I get some good potions, but question is, what are those gonna transform into? If I do the Astrolabe, I personally don't tend to use potions that much, because I'm the kind of player who tends to stockpile them for when I think they're needed. So, with that in mind, I think I'm going to go with the Astrolabe. Alright, Caleb, I appreciate you stopping by, subbing, all that good stuff. In case you missed it, actually, no, you heard the announcement earlier. You were on YouTube just before that. So, scratch what I was about to say. I was just going to remind you about the stream time change. Stream schedule change, I guess I should say. Alrighty. Well, I think we're going to go with the Astrolabe here. Alright. So if I'm going to transform any of these cards, I probably want to go with some of the more basic ones. So I'll pick a strike and a defend. Actually, I might go with 2 strikes and a defend. Yeah, sure. Okay. So out of that, I got... I guess it shows it in pickup order here. So I got a Crescendo Plus, which, because it's upgraded, it costs 0. Retain, enter Wrath, and exhaust the card. Crush Joints Plus, deal 10 damage. If the last card played this combat was a skill, apply to Vulnerable. And then Inner Peace Plus, if you are in Calm, draw 4 cards, otherwise enter Calm. Could also help, you know, trigger the Flurry of Blows stuff. Just saying. Okay. And there is Act 1 with the Wanderer. Okay. Pausing for a sec, because Twitch ads are about to roll. In fact, I will go ahead and just initiate those myself. Meanwhile, I can figure out which path I want to take. Lots of events that way. It's like battle, 3 events, battle, rest. Meanwhile, if I go over here, it's like battle, event, or battle. And then, if I wanted to fight any elites, well, I would get 1 elite if I went along the right-hand side. If I start off in the middle, I could battle then 2 events. Battle, elite, rest, or battle, rest, elite. Or battle, event, rest, elite. So I think I'm probably going to start off from the middle here and then go left. But I'll wait till the ad break is done.
Okay. Should be just about ready to go here. So I will resume my recording. Alrighty. So, time for Act 2 with the Watcher. I think I'm going to take the middle path here just because the right is... While I do like the idea of having all those events, there's less possibility of facing elites and thus gaining relics. So yeah, gonna start off in the middle here. Oh, yay. We have our favorite thieves. And I say favorite sarcastically, of course. Flurry of blows on the looter, I guess. Last card played this combat was a skill applied to vulnerable. That's a power, not a skill. Ooh, hang on. Okay, so... Either of these attacks are dealing double damage right now because the pen nib. So, boom. 11 damage will get rid of that one. And then I've got enough block to handle next turn. Or I use my miracle and deal 31 damage with the signature move instead of using the battle hymn. You know what? Sure. Why not? Kaboom. No damage for me, but some of my gold has been taken. Ooh. Okay. Eruption. And then lesson learned will be fatal and I'll get to upgrade a card. Yes! Okay, so it just randomly picks one to upgrade. Still, better that those get upgraded than not. I will definitely... I would rather have 4 plated armor available than just a swift potion that draws 3 cards. Discard one of those, get the Essence of Steel. Okay, adding another card to my deck. Flurry of Blows, we know what that does. Cut Through Fate. Deal 7, scry 2, draw 1. Meditate. Put a card from your discard pile into your hand and retain it. Enter Calm, end your turn. Huh. I mean, obviously that would have to be the last card I play in a given turn. But retaining something of my choice that I've already played could be helpful. Sure. Alright, event time, because I like events. Oh, and it's... Right, these guys. Hang on, how's the map looking? Seems like it'll be a while before I hit a merchant. If I even hit one at all. Seems like there's plenty of opportunity to not do so. I eventually have to work my way over to the right to get that to happen. With that being said, I think I might actually just give these... Although, do I get something from defeating them? Like, I think it's pretty obvious I'd at least get a card or something, but I think I might get a relic if I beat them.
You know what? Let's fight. Okay. One guy plans to attack for 10. Alright. Flurry of blows. We got Pointy, Romeo, and Bear. Interesting names for sure. So, hang on. Yeah, I can't deal enough damage to get rid of any of them this turn. Flurry of blows. If I use Eruption, that puts me in Wrath mode. Oh, you know what? I've got enough block for this turn. Unless, of course, I enter Wrath mode, then not so much. But actually, what I'm thinking is, okay, so I do Flurry of Blows again. And then I'm actually thinking I will use Battle Hymn Plus. And then, as my final card this turn, I will use Meditate to get myself out of Wrath mode. Grab him. Oh, dexterity down. Okay. That means I can't gain block as well. Crush joints. Do 11 damage. If the last card played this combat was a skill, apply to vulnerable. And I have nothing with which to exit this stance. That's lovely. Well, never mind. I have Eruption. Duh. Which would also give me 2 energy then. Huh. And with that being the case, I could deal a lot of damage. Alright, going for it. Eruption to get rid of Pointy. Flurry of Blows. Romeo's gonna deal the most, so I'll target him next. Holy cow, 52. Oh, pen nib, right. Okay. Then I'll use Smite on Bear. And then Crush Joints deals 22. Strike Plus deals 20. And I win. Did I even take any damage? Okay, I do get a relic. At the start of each combat, apply 1 weak to all enemies. Okay. Card options. Pressure points. Apply 8 mark. All enemies lose HP equal to their mark. That's one you want to try and get cycling around a bunch of times, essentially. Follow-up deals 7 damage. If the last card played was an attack, gain 1 energy. Which, it's pretty easy to make that essentially free then. Empty Fist, deal 9 damage, exit your stance. I kind of like follow-up. I'm going to go with that. Another event. Purifier. Before you lies an elaborate shrine to a forgotten spirit. Pray, remove a card from your deck. I might actually get rid of one of my basic defend cards just because, like, you know, I don't want to... although... since it has retain, that's pretty helpful. Sure. I'll go ahead and remove a basic defend. So then I have more of a chance of... just slightly more of a chance of getting the stuff I want. Oh, yay, this guy with the plated armor and stuff. Alright, I've got enough armor for this turn already. So... Flurry of Blows. Okay. Maybe I should have done this first, but I'll use Miracle. So then Crush Joints applies to Vulnerable. Strike. Battle him. And Meditate. What am I going to bring back to my hand? Meditate's a skill, right? So I'll bring Crush Joints back to my hand. Hey. Yeah. Okay. Crush Joints. Boom. I do not have 6 HP to heal currently. Flurry of Blows. Smite. Now I'll use Bandage Up. Get myself back to full health. And... I'm about to take 10 damage, darn it. Unless I decide I want to gain the 4-plated armor, but... doesn't seem like it's all that necessary. I don't know. Oh, it heals the damage it deals. Great. Okay. Ooh. But now with it being vulnerable... Okay, first off, prostrate. Second, crescendo. Flurry of Blows. Ooh, Pen Nib is active. So I'll use Brilliance and then win. Okay. Adding another card, Tranquility. See, okay, there's essentially the the opposite kind of thing of crescendo. You retain it, enter calm, and then exhaust it, whereas crescendo enters wrath in essentially the same way. Okay, let me go for... Problem is, if I want a merchant, I gotta eventually work my way over to the right. I could go left now and still eventually get there. Also, I'm kind of liking if I go to the right here and then go up. Because then I face the elite before the rest when I might actually, like, really need to rest. Yeah, I'm gonna go to the right. Oh, this thing. Okay, so... upon receiving attack damage, gains 3 block. Yeah. Block gain increases as Malleable is triggered. Resets to 3 at the start of your turn. Okay. But I can do Flurry of Blows.
So it gains a little block there. I use follow-up, which essentially becomes free then. Brilliance. Battle him. Meditate. I think I'll actually take the follow-up. Oh, great. Now I'm weakened. That's fun. Okay. Do not currently have a way of exiting calm. Four-plated armor. I think I might do that, actually. Drink. So the four-plated armor... So at the end of my turn, I gain 4 block. Receiving unblocked attack damage reduces plated armor by 1. Right. Alright. I'm still kind of thinking I would maybe like to defend. I also want to take advantage of follow-up in some way, though. Yeah, I'm weak for 2 turns, dang it. Strike. Follow up. And then I'm thinking I will use defend and deceive reality. Could also use my miracle right now, but there's a chance of it being upgraded next turn, so maybe not. You know what? Screw it. I'll gain some more block. Now I'm only going to take 3 damage. Oh, nope. I take none because of the plated armor. Which means the plated armor then gets to stay at 4. That's nice. Okay. Crush joints applies vulnerable, so I'll do that. Prostrate, gain 2 mantra and 3 block. Just for the 2 mantra, really. Bandage up for sure. And then I guess... I mean, it doesn't intend to attack, so I will smite twice. Too bad I couldn't get to signature move from all that. Yay, more weakness and more frailty, I guess would be the way to say that. Okay, well, I'm pretty sure I can end this on this turn. So, Eruption. And just for fun, Flurry of Blows. Do it that way. Okay, 10 gold. Fruit Juice. Gain 5 max HP. Sure. I'll take that. What to add to my hand? Worship. Gain... 5 mantra. Or deal 7 damage for each enemy in combat. But all to one enemy. I could use some more mantra gaining stuff. Alright, I am going to immediately drink the fruit juice. Alright. And then I think I'm gonna fight this elite. Since I have 75 HP. Ah, okay. Ooh, okay. Flurry of blows. One in the back would actually be the easiest to get rid of overall. Then I can do signature move. Kablam. Tranquility. Flurry of blows again. And then I could use some block. Do I want to use Miracle just to then also be able to use... Also, you know what? Liquid Bronze. Give myself some Thorns, since there are 3 different enemies attacking me here. I could use the Miracle just so then I'm able to use Battle Hymn and get a smite in my hand each turn. Alright, going for it. I'm trying not to think too hard about these things, but like just enough to consider the known potential interactions based on the cards I see this turn. Okay, let me bandage up. And then I will use Crush Joints to apply 2 vulnerable to this first enemy. Because then I will use Strike. Well, I'm already in Calm. So if I do that, I save myself from 12 damage. If I do that, I save myself from, well, 8 and a negative effect. Plus then I deal an extra 9. Potentially. But I have the Thorns active. So being a little more defensive might be helpful. So I might even be able to just let the furthest enemy get rid of itself by attacking me and taking damage from Thorns. And there's that worship card. Ooh. Oh, but then, the fatal thing. I do also gain 2 energy from exiting Calm. So, I'm actually thinking I might enter Wrath here. That deals 10. That'll deal 22. That deals 26. Okay, so Smite on... Oh, wait, 39? Oh, because it's vulnerable. So, wait, 26... It's 22 is 48. Dang! Okay. Ah, but that's not quite enough, dang it. Okay, Flurry of Blows on it then. And then, Lesson Learned. Nice. Brilliance got upgraded. And now... Oh, hold up. That deals 26 damage? But then I'm... shoot. I'm about to take a big hit either way, I think. Okay, tell you what. Smite on this one twice. It's gone. I'm gonna see what I get from the Swift Potion. Okay, well, there's that. Oh, but now I have pain. Why? Why must I have pain? Alright, fine then. I will simply play Just Lucky, and... battle is over. Sweet. Whenever you would receive 5 or less unblocked attack damage, reduce it to 1. Okay. And add a card to my deck. Ooh, Ragnarok. Deal 5 damage to a random enemy 5 times. Or I play Fasting, which gives me 3 strength and dexterity, but I gain 1 less energy at the start of each turn. Not the biggest fan of that. Let's take Ragnarok. Okay. And that... Okay, so based on the path that I need to take to get to a merchant, I'm gonna encounter a rest area after that anyway. I'm gonna... yeah, right after that, I would... and one right before. Or just a little bit before, I guess. So, for this rest area, I will choose to smith instead, I think. Well, let me see. What would the upgrades do? 6 damage 6 times. Nice. That I can retain that for gaining 5 mantra. I can make Tranquility Plus cost 0, which would then kind of even it out with the already upgraded Crescendo. Follow up would deal more damage. Meditate gives me 2 cards from my discard pile that I can retain. Lesson learned upgraded deals a bit more damage. Huh. Well, it's got to be either Ragnarok, Tranquility, or Bandage Up, as far as what I'm thinking. But I would like to upgrade at least one of those. Therefore, I choose to smith. I think I'm going to go with Bandage Up, actually. Because that gives me more healing along the way, which gives me more potential to... Although, that could also be really helpful, having that cost 0. Might keep me from taking some damage in the future, come to think of it. Alright, so you know what? Tranquility's getting upgraded. Okay, battle time. Alrighty, we got a cultist and a... what is it? Chosen in the back there? Cultist, chosen, yeah. Alrighty. Oh, and look at that. Bandage up just kind of got upgraded for me anyway. So I'll definitely play bandage up right now. Oh, the pen nib. But, like, do I really... I don't think I want to enter Wrath when I'm not even going to do any more attacks right now. So I will instead use Worship and battle him. Glad I'm not taking any damage this turn. Yeah, what would that thing do again? Right, that's the one applying weak at the start. Okay. Whew, here we go. Okay. So the next attack I play deals double damage. And because of the mantra that I have, which I'm actually about to gain 2 more of, I think. Sure. Now it'll deal 48 damage. Brilliance on the cultist. And then... Tell you what, I will smite the cultist. Oh, that's a miracle plus. Well, I don't need all that. Because it's not even gonna... Alright, cross joints. And there's my turn. Alright, so the hex is whenever I play a non-attack card, I shuffle 1 dazed into my draw pile. Right. Oh, hello. Okay. Hang on a second. 6 damage to a random enemy 5 times. Which, on its own, would be 30 damage. But then if I go into Wrath mode... Now it's 12 damage 5 times. So that bumps it all the way up to 60. And honestly, I could end it this turn if I just take 2 damage in order to use my miracle and then smite. Kaboom. Okay. Ooh, block potion. Gain 12 block. Nice. Okay. Adding a card to my deck. I think I'll go with the follow-up plus. Especially if you get multiple of those in your hand at the same time. They trigger each other. Pocket Watch. Whenever you play 3 or less cards during your turn, draw 3 additional cards at the start of your next turn. I mean, I'll take it. Don't know how often I'm actually going to make use of it, but sure. Huh. This ought to be interesting. Okay. Now, if I play Tranquility first, I would enter Calm, then playing Eruption would give me 2 extra energy. And then I could still play Ragnarok and battle him without even using the Miracle. Going for it. So now, Eruption. Yeah, it assigns the damage randomly, but still. Okay. Sentry's almost gone. And then I'll play Battle Hymn. And, okay. I'd say that's a pretty decent turn one. Jeez. One enemy gained so much block there. Okay, Prostrate. Smite will get rid of the sentry. Signature move now deals 62 damage, which should get rid of the other enemy, the Spheric Guardian. Kaboom! Okay. Let's see here. Crush Joints, Carve Reality Plus. Deal 10 damage, add a Smite into your hand. Wallop deals 9 damage, and I gain block equal to the unblocked damage. Huh. Having a multi-purpose card like that is kind of helpful. And I might at some point be able to upgrade it. Okay, so I want to go to the right here just so I can eventually get to the merchant. Oh, yay, 3 cultists. Fun. Well, I suppose to kick things off, I will use Ragnarok. And then I'm thinking I might actually use Miracle to then use Meditate and bring Ragnarok back to my hand. Hopefully allowing me to use it on my next turn. Oh, hello. We got so much stuff going on here. Oh, and it gets doubled because of the pen nib. Ah, dang it! I wish I had a way to get more energy. Because without that, then I'm thinking I should probably just do Flurry of Blows to start with. Okay, Flurry of Blows on you. Follow up plus, because that's essentially free then. Okay. Wallop. Gives me 14 block now. Flurry of Blows. Gets rid of that one, so I've got enough block for the turn. So then I will strike that one. Cool. Ah, interesting. Ooh. Would I, with going into Wrath mode, be able to deal enough damage to end this now? Because that would then deal 38? Just maybe. Alright, Eruption on you. Oh yeah, and I get these back, so yeah. Probably can end it this turn. Brilliance on you for sure. blows. ×2 on you. Strike. Win. Okay, cool. 12 gold and a swift potion. Add a card to my deck. I'll go with another prostrate because more mantra. Okay. Gotta stick to the right to get to the merchant. 25 is... It's unlikely I'll fight another enemy before getting to the next rest area, so I'll smith for now. What does Wallop's upgrade look like? Okay, it deals a little extra damage. Ragnarok would be a really good one to upgrade, I think. Prostrate gives one more mantra when upgraded. Going with Ragnarok, I think. Okay, Ragnarok has been upgraded. Event time. And it's a battle. With a bird and a chosen. Okay, so... Oh, the pen nib. Right, so... With that in mind... 0 times 5? Oh, because it's weakened. Huh. Interesting. In that case... I will... Ooh, you know what? Hang on. Yeah, but I don't really need to use Miracle. Other than if I want to apply Vulnerable. Yeah, I'll do it anyway. Okay. Vulnerable on the Chosen. And then Flurry of Blows. Strike. Just lucky. I guess I'll keep that on top. And then battle him. It's only because of the bird not dealing any damage that I even considered doing it like that. Okay. So... Too many attack cards in my hand for signature move to get played. So I will... I mean... We're only talking 5 damage here from... And you know what? I gain block from using Wallop. So, Wallop on the Chosen. And then Smite the Chosen. And that, I'm thinking, will end my turn. Shame I couldn't quite get rid of the Chosen because now I get hexed. So all of my non-attack cards are gonna cause a dazed card to get shuffled into my draw pile. However... Okay, follow up. Goodbye, Chosen. Now... Honestly, I think this is going to end up being 2 cards either way. So I'll just play Brilliance. Oh, what? That didn't do anywhere near as much as I thought it would. Well, shoot. Oh, it deals less damage because of flight. Huh. Cancelled if dealt attack damage 2 times in 1 turn. Okay. It's not planning to attack anyway. You know what? Still, strike. Oh, I still have to deal damage 1 more time for that to apply. Dagnabbit. Kinda wish I would have known that. Should have just done crescendo from the... Should have just done crescendo from the start. Oh well. Flurry of blows and smite will end it. Okay, 13 gold, a flex potion, and add a card to my deck. Fear no evil. Deal 8 damage if the enemy intends to attack. Enter calm. Nice. At the end of your turn, if you are in calm, gain 5 block. Both helpful. Oh, hey, Seth. Oh my gosh. My phone just buzzed like 3 times. Okay. That's nothing too big. I was making sure it wasn't some, like, urgent text message or something. See, I haven't found myself staying in a particular stance terribly long most of the time. So I think I'll take Fear No Evil, actually. Alrighty, shop time. And of course I'll look at the relics first. Happy Flower, every 3 turns gain an energy. Peace Pipe, you can now remove cards from your deck at rest sites. Not real big on that, actually. Clockwork Souvenir, start each combat with 1 artifact, which prevents me... It negates 1 debuff, essentially. So yeah, Seth, I started a little bit late today. I was up late last night playing some Magic the Gathering. So, I slept in a little bit this morning, thus started the stream late, thus still going. But I'm honestly probably in like the last half hour or so of it. Once I wrap up this act, actually, which would be quite a bit less than half an hour. All I have left really is this merchant, then a rest site, then the boss. Okay. Having an artifact would be helpful. Extra energy is also generally helpful, but... leaning towards the artifact. Alright, any of these potions that I would really want... either one of these two would probably be better for me than having the Swift Potion, in my opinion. Not too many times I see myself wanting to draw more cards. That's happened like once. So, yeah. I think I'm gonna discard the Swift Potion and get a Dexterity Potion. Sure. Act 2, by the way, Seth. I was debating on getting this with the previous card options, so I'll just buy it now. But I think that's all that I'm gonna get in that case. Leaving. Proceed. Okay, so now I get to a rest site. Heal up to 25, which will put me at 80. Just in case things get a little hairy with the boss. Alrighty. This one. Its intentions are unknown. To start off here. Well, prostrate for the 3 mantra in this case, because it got automatically upgraded by the warped tongs. Pocket watch. Whenever you play 3 or less cards during your turn, draw 3 additional. Right. Well, I plan to play more than 3, so that's not really going to apply. Battle him. Now, if I played meditate, what would I even bring back to my hand? I guess the prostrate, really. You know what? Sure. Oh, geez. Okay. Right. The minions are in here now. I'll play Prostrate Plus again. Don't need to be going into Divinity mode when I only have 1 energy left. Even though that would cause things to deal triple damage. I could give myself a 2nd energy, but still. Seven damage 6 times. I don't currently have, well, let's see here, 7 times 2 is 14. I could use this potion to gain enough block so that I don't take any damage this turn. Sure, why not? Yeah, because otherwise I'm probably just... I mean, like, I would maybe play... Worship, honestly, which would trigger Divinity mode. Oh, that might actually give me 2 extra energy then for Calm. Because switching to Divinity, I assume, gets me out of Calm. It's a bit risky, but I think I'm gonna go for it. Worship. Alright. So every attack that I do this turn is gonna deal triple damage. So, I guess first maybe I should see what Ragnarok hits. Okay, well there's 1 minion down. If I use both of those... or... Okay, tell you what. I will use Smite on the other minion. Flurry of Blows twice. Brilliance. And then I could play Lesson... I could use the Miracle to play Lesson Learned. Oh, dang. I could have flexed all that. Dang it. Well, if I add 5 more strengths to it, what happens then? Well, it would add 5 more damage. Except it's tripled. So it would actually add 15 more damage. Which is still not enough for it to be fatal. Really should have thought about using that flex potion first. I could have just completely wiped the board. Oh well. I guess in my mind I was so focused on get rid of the minions that I hadn't even really thought too much about how much damage I could actually deal. See, okay, now... Actually, if I use the Flex Potion now... Because I could do Flurry of Blows twice. Then play Fear No Evil, which would bring those back to my hand. Use them again. Play Smite. That's quite a bit of damage I could deal. Nah. What the heck? Okay, so Flurry of Blows. The pen nib hit with that last one. That's why it did extra damage. Guess maybe had I paid a little more attention to that, it would have... Oh, that only has me enter Calm at the end of my turn. Okay, that didn't combo off quite like I thought it would. Actually, is that what it said? Oh, if the enemy intends to attack, enter Calm. Oh! Well, that's a totally different thing then. Play Smite. And then... Like water, in case I enter Calm stance. Yeah, I feel like I'm doing pretty alright here with this battle. Okay. Prostrate for the mantra and block. Since the last card I played was a skill, Crush Joints applies vulnerable. And then... I mean, I'm gonna heal after the boss anyway, right? Because otherwise I'm like, well, you know what, let me use Bandage Up anyway. But then Strike deals 15, Smite deals 18, and I win. Okay. Perfect. Defeat a boss without taking any damage. Nice. Although, I took damage, just not from the boss. But I guess that counts anyway. Also, defeated the Bronze Automaton. I thought I had before, but I guess not. Cool. Ooh, Conjure Blade. Shuffle an Expunger into your draw pile. Exhaust. Expunger deals 9 damage X times, where X is how much you spend when casting Conjure Blade. Huh. Establishment. Whenever a card is retained, reduce its cost by 1. Whew. I have a decent number of cards that get retained. That seems really helpful. I'm gonna go with that. Okay, proceeding. Snecko Eye, no thank you. Do not want to randomize the cost of my cards. Velvet Choker, gain energy at the start of your turn. You cannot play more than 6 cards per turn. Or the Cursed Key. Gain an energy at the start of your turn. Whenever you open a non-boss chest, obtain a curse. Ah. The Velvet Choker is... yeah. Memory. You do have to choose a map and then leave for it to save. Yeah. So... I'm leaning towards the Velvet Choker. It's got a bit of a downside, but the upside is, I think, more helpful than the downside. Okay. And to solidify all of that, I guess I should pick something I'm gonna do here. How do I... Which path do I want to go on, though? The right path leaves me, like, no options whatsoever. I'm kind of liking the middle path, honestly. Going for it. Also, as I'm recording this, I do not plan to continue on through Act 3 during the same day/session, so I'm doing this to solidify my choices from the boss. So we'll get one more battle, just for fun, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, these are the guys that will revive. Right. If other enemies are still alive, revives in 2 turns at 50% HP. Yeah. So... as much as I can, I want to try to, like, whittle them down. And then just, like, get rid of all of them on the same turn. Huh. Okay, so... Flurry of Blows. Now the Pen Nib is active, meaning whatever I play next will deal double damage. That very much makes me want to play Ragnarok now. Oh yeah. That did a bunch. In calm, draw 4 cards, right. Ooh, hang on. I'm gonna play the Miracle so I can use... I know it slightly goes against the mechanics of this particular battle, or against the idea of what you want to do in it, but I want to use Lesson Learned on this one. Oh, I guess it doesn't count as being fatal if it remains there at all. Alright, well, I'm going to meditate now, bring Ragnarok back to my hand. About to take a bit of damage. Ragnarok costs 1 less now, though. Ooh, and I can make it deal double damage by using Eruption first, but bandage up, for sure. Actually, I don't even need to do it with Eruption. I could just use Crescendo for that. And that doesn't even cost anything. Sure, Crescendo. Ragnarok. Win. Okay. And this choice isn't really gonna be saved anyway. Sure, protect. Because there's a chance I can make it cost less. But I'll have to redo that choice next time anyway. That is going to do it for now. Especially because that was really more about Act 2 than Act 3 right there. Okay. Click the next spot, then save and quit. Yeah. But then... yeah, I guess... unless it's a single screen thing, it would still save my choice, so... let's hope it's not another battle. Once you leave the map, it saves. Oh, so honestly, I can just get into whatever the next thing is, and then hit start, exit the game, like, you know, save and quit. Okay. It turns out it is a battle, but now I can just do that. And there we go. Okie day. So, in about 2 weeks, I guess. 2 weeks from yesterday, because of the, you know, stream time changes. That will be what I continue. I'll continue that in about 2 weeks. Big thing in the Bronze Automaton is its minions steal your cards. Yeah, you mentioned that before, and I wound up making that not happen because they died before they could steal my cards. Okay, so not looking too bad, although I don't necessarily like how much damage I took in that last battle. But, yeah. Otherwise, I feel like this run as the Watcher isn't going too poorly. Obviously, it's going better than my Defect run did, because I lost that one in Act 2. Of course, I blame that on the Snecko. Anywho. Okay. So, I'm about to wrap up the stream, otherwise I'd rework the mic situation. You know what? I might anyway, because I'm going to have to move it after the stream's done. Easy enough to repeat Ironclad and Defect. Yeah, and hopefully I've gotten some stuff with them that'll, like, I've unlocked a little bit of stuff with them, so maybe that'll kind of tip the scale next time. Anyway, once you get everyone a 0, then you will be able to do stuff. Right. Yeah, I'm not. I may not. I may not end up recording too much after that. Probably at least once, just to, show what comes after all that. I just realized I had my stream topic sitting on just chatting the entire flippin' time on Twitch. Oh well. People tuned in anyway. Okay. Now to figure out raid target. Actually, I don't need to pop that out into a separate thing to see what's going on with chat because I have that elsewhere. Also. Okay. Actually, not a whole lot of people I follow who are live right now. We got two of them playing. Okay, so we got one Valorant, two of them playing Destiny 2, a Fortnite option, a music playing option, and somebody playing a game called Satisfactory. That's all we've got out of my followed channels. I don't know if anybody has any suggestions. And a Bible study. Who's doing the Bible study? Keep in mind, it might be someone I'm not following. On my side, that might not have followed. Epitome. Okay. I should be able to look them up. Ah. There we go. Found. Okay. Oh, they just started, too. So, like... they're even on their, like, start screen still. But, sure, why not? Then people can hang around as long as they like, without having to worry about the stream ending anytime real soon. Okay, so I guess we will go ahead and do that. Now that I've got that squared away, that's going to do it for me. Hope you're all doing well. Hopefully I will see you soon for another stream. Keep in mind, the stream time changes now. Hangout streams are going to be Thursday evenings, most of the time at least. About 6 to 9 p.m. Eastern time, probably. Eastern U.S. time, so we're clear. And then recording sessions, kind of like this, are going to be on Friday afternoons. Same time those have always been, round 1 to 4 p.m.-ish. Usually ends up being more like 1:30 to 4:30 or 5, but anyway. Okay. So, hopefully I'll see you soon. Whatever ends up happening, until next time, stay cool, everybody.